President Biden passing the torch.
The idea of America lies in your hands.
In his first address to the nation since he dropped out from the 2024 election, rents on the rise.
Currently, right now, I live with 2 other people.
And studies show college students are suffering the brunt of it. And a snapshot of Wynwood.
For us, it's all about the community.
With an open photography night, these stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Alejandro Marquina.
I'm Denise Diaz. Today is Thursday, July 25th, 2024.
Live from the Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
President Joe Biden calling for a youth movement in the Democratic Party in his first speech since dropping out of the 24 race and publicly endorsing Vice President Kamala Harris. This morning, the race for the White House continues, just not without President Biden, but he spoke to the nation last night on his decision to step out of the 2024 president election.
Caplin News reporter Valentina Gaspar is in the control center with more on Biden's Oval Office speech.
After President Biden's decision to end his re-election campaign Sunday, a nation was waiting for the why. 3 days and a negative COVID test later, he says it's time to, quote, pass the torch to a younger generation, and it is up to American voters to protect democracy on Election Day.
It's not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures.
President Joe Biden addressing his decision to step away from the 2024 presidential race.
So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
Biden officially ended his re-election campaign over the weekend amid calls from Democrats to step aside. He now prioritizes for the final months of his term.
I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose.
His Oval Office speech timed to give the president's voice an opportunity to recover from COVID-19 and deliver the address with vigor, a senior advisor said. Regarding Biden's decision to endorse Vice President Kamala Harris to take his place at the top of the ticket, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the president has no regrets.
This is, again, a decision that this president made, and I think he is proud to have made that decision.
Harris has had a quick start to her presidential bid.
There is so much at stake in this moment. There's so much at stake.
And former President Donald Trump in North Carolina for his first rally since Biden's announcement wasted no time pivoting his attacks.
The vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of dishonesty, incompetence.
But back at the White House, President Biden used one of the most important speeches of his long political career to stress the importance of November's election, even as he leaves the ballot.
History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands.
And the latest coming from Vice President Kamala Harris. Her first campaign video titled "We Choose Freedom" was released this morning. The 75-second video highlights controversial issues, including women's reproductive rights and gun violence prevention. Pictures of Trump's mugshot and his running mate, J.D. Vance, are also seen in that video. Now the clock is ticking fast for Harris to choose her vice presidential nominee, as she has less than 4 weeks to the start of the Democratic National Convention. In the Control Center, Valentina Gaspari, Caplin News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in the nation's capital this morning with plans to meet with President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris individually after a joint meeting in Congress yesterday about the war. While Netanyahu was met with bipartisan support, many Democratic members opted to skip out. Protesters and families of U.S. hostages were outside Capitol Hill, urging Netanyahu to finally end the war by signing the ceasefire and hostage deal.
The Federal Aviation Administration has launched an investigation into Southwest Airlines operations after a series of safety accidents. According to a report, many Southwest planes have flown at dangerously low altitudes. One incident this month saw a plane on its way to Tampa fly as low as 150 feet while still 5 miles from its destination. The airline says they will try to find any opportunities to improve this issue.
Residential evictions are going up in the U.S., exceeding pre-pandemic levels in some major cities. Cities like Gainesville, Las Vegas, and Houston are experiencing high evictions rate because of the surging rental rates and the expiration of COVID-era protections. Rental properties are also increasingly owned by real estate groups, not landlords, contributing to the rent hike this past month. There's been nearly 38,000 evictions nationwide.
The cost of living in the nation's capital for a college education is reaching a noticeable high. In a special report from Caplin's DC Bureau, reporter Cassandra Alonso looks at how rent is rising for students across the city.
Good morning. Rent prices have rapidly increased and in turn have created a major affordability issue for college students on very low incomes. Let's take an inside look on this. Rent prices have been an ongoing issue these last few years and have only increased. While many people are affected by these rises, college students have been some of the main victims of this issue. The rise of these prices can cause a ripple effect, creating an affordability issue on other everyday necessities such as food, toilet paper, and transportation.
Since I am getting student loans to pay for my master's, and I also have to pay for rent and food and different things I buy each day, stress is a very important factor, but of course you just have to understand the situation that you're into and you know, not let stress be a component that stops you from becoming who you truly are.
Many students travel to different cities to gain experience in their fields by taking on internships. The cost of this is not cheap, and while some internships are now paid, they don't pay students nearly enough to keep up with the rent rise and everyday cost of living.
A lot of my peers would be getting these internships, these unpaid internships, and I was never able to apply for them because I knew that I didn't have the luxury of being able to work for free because I was the one that was paying my bills and I was the one that was paying my rent.
Due to this, many students' living conditions are rough and poor. Students are finding themselves having to live with multiple people crammed in an apartment to meet monthly rent payments.
Currently, right now, I live with 2 other people, but they're actually sharing a room, and then I was able to talk my way into getting myself my own individual room.
When digging through their fridge, you often don't find any food or nutritional values. Some students aren't even able to afford apartments with regular kitchen utilities and often eat frozen foods.
Some of the mental issues that I struggled with specifically dealing with that was like I said, burnout, really bad burnout, numbness, depression, anxiety.
Many students experience what they call burnout, which means they become mentally incapable. On average, the rent cost in DC is estimated to be around $2,262. The itemized cost for tuition is $6,152. For students out of state, this number goes up to $27,858. The average cost for food per person a month is $342. The average pay for an intern is over $40,000 a year.
So after paying for rent and necessities, I usually have around $50 left. It's very little.
Although affordable housing has become a major issue for college students, students look forward to a brighter future after facing all of their struggles, and universities such as GW and FIU look forward to building more affordable student housing and giving out more scholarships in order for students to afford their education. Reporting from Washington, D.C. for Caplin News, this is Cassandra Alonso.
South African music gaining popularity in South Florida. Caplin News reporter Stan Boburn was there and has more on the music scene, call and piano.
The Marlins looking to start the second half of their season on a high note by upsetting an American League powerhouse.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
We started open studio sessions at HCAP Studios because we get very inspired by the community. For us, it's all about the community.
Rolling out the red carpet in Wynwood as local photographers and models get together for an open studios event. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantori here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family, and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
A picture-perfect event in Wynwood as many photographers across South Florida get together for an open studio event. It's called the Open Studio Sessions, and it was created by 4 Latin American creators with a shared passion for their arts.
Caplin News report.
The Open Studio Sessions provide creators the tools to update their modeling and photography portfolio, keeping it accessible for everyone. Photography is an art for self-expression, and this photography studio opens its doors to offer complimentary studio hours to the creative community.
We started open studio sessions at HCAP Studios because we get very inspired by the community. For us, it's all about the community. So bringing people together and having them create and have fun inside our space is everything that we've always really wanted to achieve. So that's why we always continue to have events like these.
Is an opportunity for everyone that's either trying to get their foot in the door in the industry or just starting off as a creative, whether that means you're a model, you're a photographer, you're an artist, a musician.
For each Open Studios, the sets really come from my many years of experience as a photographer, art director, and model. So because we've been around for so long, HCAP Studios has acquired so many sets, so many props.
The kind of impact that we hope that Open Studio Sessions has in the community is obviously a place for people to come and play. I think that that's one of the things that creatives definitely need. Everybody wants to have clients, everybody wants to have jobs, and that gets a little bit tiring sometimes. I think this is a space for them to come and be able to relax, have fun, create.
HCAP Studios will be hosting Open Studio Sessions every month with the goal to continue to cultivate and give back to the creative community. Reporting for Caplin News, I am Ana Paula Mayorga.
And the vibes in the Marlins clubhouse are high this morning after they managed to pull 2 straight upsets against the Baltimore Orioles. Josh Bell broke the ice at the bottom of the 4th by hitting a solo homer into center right field, and the Fish will go up 3-0. Baltimore will tie the game by the 6th, but a clutch 2-run double by Jazz Chisholm Jr. in the bottom of the 7th will be all she wrote. The final score was Marlins 6, Baltimore 3. The Fish will look to sweep just a few hours from now at noon. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
Millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
Watching each other's backs,
and banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other,
On a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
actor.
it's time we take a step forward
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I am Denise Diaz.
And I'm Alejandro Marquina. Get more news at any time at caplin.news.fiu.edu.